everyone shook. He's like, oh shoot, there's a bad guy here. Rocks and Loki, Jinbei doing Jinbei things, and the Straw Hats making contact with Gunko. What a freaking chapter. This is One Piece chapter 1145. Let's talk about it. I do want to highlight the cover page. I usually don't do that. I usually try to save it for my breakdown, but I want to highlight it just a little bit here because it looks amazing. It is to commemorate the One Piece anime coming back. Looks dope. Seeing the Straw Hats reacting to Luffy looking at himself. I honestly think Luffy's reaction is the best because he's like, whoa, that's me. Because let's be honest, Luffy never looks at himself. It's just dope seeing them just eat and watching the anime. It reminds me of fans, how we sit down and watch the anime. Honestly, it looks like an eye catcher, low key. I also love the fact that Zoro's the only one not paying attention, not really looking. But that way, let's get into the chapter. I find it hilarious that there is so much junk that is going on. So much stuff is happening on Elbaph right now. And what are the monster trio doing? They are looking for food. They hunted down one of the dinosaurs, one of the big beasts that typically reside in the underworld. Zoro and Sanji, they have an assist similar to what happened when they fought the Broggy monsters. Sanji launched Zoro at the dinosaur. He ended up cutting his head off. Tag team attack. I love it whenever these two work together. Also, apparently Goldberg, he was working with them, assisting them, and something that looked like a floorboard. Honestly, I had no clue what it was, but he was talking to him, and so Sanji was like, well, what the heck is that? At first I thought it was a devil fruit, I'm not gonna lie, but he said, nah, that's what happens when my back pops, and it happened when he went to go take down Big Mom. So it's a homie. It's similar to Zeus. We know that Zeus, he was a leader with Prometheus as well as Napoleon, and then later down the line Hera became one of like the actual commanders. So it's pretty cool seeing how his back was like, hey, what's up with Commander Zeus? And they're like, ah, well, Zeus, he ends up working. He's Nami's slave. He's with us now. But now we're getting into the nitty gritty because Loki, he's starting to spill different information. He's like, yeah, the Holy Knights, they're the ones that did this to me. They're the ones that wounded me. I find it funny how Loki, he's like, hey, if I truly, did something to them, then I'd already be king of the world, which is true because the Holy Knights, they essentially work directly with the Mary Joa and just the Celestial Dragons, etc. They directly report to the Celestial Dragons, specifically the Elders, and you know how much influence they have, their connection to Emu, and just their connection to the overall world, or like the big picture of the world. And so Zoro and Sanji, they come back. They didn't hear any of this. Luffy doesn't care any about this, but this is Oda's way of introducing this to us as viewers and how we're getting more information. At least the characters in there, they know sort of what's going on. I also love how Zoro, he's like, hey, just letting you know, I was the dude to take down this dinosaur. And Sanji, he's like, yeah, you were, but you also, the look of it, it looked like you were a flying broccoli. That was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Zoro and Sanji, they're going at it. Luffy, you know how he is whenever he tries to cheer somebody up, whenever he tries to help somebody out. Everybody's not like Luffy, so eating a bunch of food, it's not necessarily gonna work. They take the big old monster as cooked. Luffy, he's like, hey, Loki, here, go ahead and eat this. And Luffy's like, bro, this is hot. Like, I'm laying down. I'm going to choke. Like, no, I can't. Let me sit up. Let me at least sit up. And then Luffy, he brings like this hot soup. He brings it to him as well. He forces him to drink it. And so Gerd, being the doctor, is trying to be like, hey, this could open up his wounds. And so Luffy, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. But Gerd, she gives him a thumbs up because everybody knows that Loki, all the giants, nobody likes him. The dynamic between Luffy and Loki, it's so funny how Loki, he's like, I'm gonna kill Luffy, I hate him. And Luffy's like, I just love this guy. Like, it's so funny how just kind and like caring and just, like I said, just kind and different Luffy treats Loki than all the other giants. And just Loki's reaction, he's like, I'm gonna kill you, but at the same time, Luffy's the only one that's actually interacting with him, the only one helping him, the only one that actually listens to him. And so they talk about the promises of what happened to Shanks, where is he at, that was going to be exchanged for Loki's freedom. And Loki's like, well, I'm not going to give you all the information about red hair because guess what, you didn't free me, but I do know how it feels, because when when I was younger, I had someone that I looked up to. And so we get a tiny bit of a flashback of the individual that Loki looked up to, and this person was Rox. When he was younger, he was a little kid. He went up to Rox like, hey, I came here to meet you, and Rox was like, he doesn't have time for any of that, and Loki asked to fight him. He fought Rox and got his shit rocked. This is really interesting, the wording behind what Rox said, because he was like, he didn't come all this way to meet a brat like him. But at the same time, Edward Newgate, right, Whitebeard, was like, hey, he told Kaido when he was younger, granted maybe not the same age as Loki, it's kind of hard to tell, you know, giants ages are all over the place, but they mentioned to Kaido that, hey, Rox, he's interested in you, he wants you to join his crew. So the fact that Rox went out of his way to try to recruit someone like Kaido, but then Loki, and like I said, he probably wasn't as strong as he is now, of course, back then, but still, he was a giant, had ancient giant blood, potentially had future sight, you know, like I said, he wasn't necessarily the beast that he is now, but he probably was somebody that could have been, you know, like at least somewhat useful. It just takes me back to what Luffy, you know, what happened with him and how Shanks was kindly like, nah, you're not ready for it. Luffy, you know, how he looks up to Shanks and Luffy, but it's not his time as well. And then Rox just smacked him, beat him up, was like, nah, you ain't ready for it. But if you guys have made it this far into the video and you're enjoying the content, let me know by leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. I pump out different One Piece content almost each and every day. Dory, Broggy, and Gabon, they are taking out the different monsters that are in the forest, doing their thing, and all of a sudden Gabon, he talks about hearing voices. Now I know people are immediately going to go to the voice of all things, I get that, but that's not that. Remember during Onigashima, when I believe it was out of Kaido and Big Mom talking about they still hear the 5 voices of the 5 supernova that went and challenged him, so this is him using observation hockey. Gabon talks about that the strange voice, it can't be hidden. There's 3 more talking, I assume it's the Holy Knights, and he's saying if even Elbaph isn't safe, that this is the end of days. And the reason why I'm saying I assume it's the Holy Knights, because number one, like I said, he mentioned 3 at the same time, they, you know, having that transportation way that they teleport to different, I believe they said it's the circle or the abyss, something like that. We know how devious they are, so that's why I think Gabon was referring to the Holy Knights. We cut to the firefighter unit. They are struggling, they cannot seem to get rid of this fire, and so he's like, hey, I need y'all to stop this fire, because the kids, they're going there. You see the Fenris knocked out, no clue who did it. It might have been Saul, might have been Robin and Chopper. My money's on Saul, because Robin and Chopper, they just got their pom-poms out. And so nothing is working. They're sitting here freaking out because the kids, they're approaching the fire. The Holy Knights, they're cheering them on like, yeah, what's going to happen? Gunko even mentioned that, you know, their bones are going to charge. That's another reason why her and Brooke are going to have an interaction. She made a dark bone joke. And so all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the firefighters, they ain't doing nothing, but Jinbei did. He hit him with a shoulder throw, got enough water, eliminated the fire. Everybody's saying, Colin, you're useless. The Straw Hats, y'all need to get to safety. Now look, they did more help than anybody has done so far. Colin Pirates, that's a dub, baby, that's a dub. Even Chopper and Robin, they're like, oh, this is Jinbei, we know he's here, we know he's close by. It is pretty funny how the firefighting team, like, everybody's cheering on, everybody's like, yeah, you guys did a good job, you guys are the gods of Elbaph, yeah, and they're like, well, thank you, but I mean, it wasn't really us, it really was Jinbei, but we'll still take the credit. And so while the Straw Hats, at least Nami's group, so the Colon Pirates, while they are celebrating, they're like, yeah, Jinbei, good job, thanks for protecting the kids, everything was all fine and dandy, you know, we're fighting back now. Gunko spawns out of nowhere. She is on the Svarr or she's in the air, one of the two. She's like, hey, there was a kid outside of the school, a rowdy one at that. Colin shook, he's like, oh shoot, there's a bad guy here. We're dead! So it looks like next chapter, we're getting the direct contact with the Holy Knights and the Straw Hats. It's starting to go down. And I love the fact that Brooke was the one to meet her first, because I really want to see the Soul King, how Gunko's going to react to him. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how you guys feel about this chapter in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video from my Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. It's on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.